All right. So thank you again, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Again, at any point, if you have questions, please utilize that Q&A feature right there to ask questions. But then thank you again, everyone, so much for joining. My name is Advisor Antoine. I'm the lead advisor here at AMO, joined by Advisor Anthony. And today we're just going to be talking about why you should be joining and applying for rotations for 2024. I know for a lot of individuals that seems very far away, especially if you're looking for the spring, especially if you're looking for the summer. I'm here to tell you that it is right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it. But we'll talk a little bit more about AMO, who we are, how we can help, and why you need to start submitting those applications now. So AMO got started back in 2013 with the goal of providing access to U.S. clinical experiences to as many medical students and graduates as possible globally. Currently, we are the largest provider of OA rotations with over 325 plus rotations being available. And we offer not only in-person rotations, but we offer virtual rotations as well as rotations designed for dentists, for nurses, for DO students. So really a multitude of experiences, no matter what medical education you are pursuing. Just some general facts and figures about AMO. We have had over 4,200 trainees that have done rotations since starting in 2013. Just in the year of 2022 alone, we've had over 1,400 individuals that had joined us for rotations. We've got over 325 plus experiences, 70 plus different specialties and subspecialties that are available on the platform. But one key fact and figure that I want to highlight is our match rate for the 2022 match. We had a match rate of 80.8%, which was higher than the average for those who were looking to match in the residency on their own, either as IMGs or as US IMGs. So definitely, these rotations are going to prepare you and help you successfully build that chance to have a higher opportunity to match into a rotation. So if this is one of your concerns, matching into next year's match cycle, these rotations are definitely going to be suitable for you. But with that, why are we asking you to plan so early? I know I speak to a lot of students all the time where they will reach out to me. We'll have a conversation one-on-one. They'll let me know that they're looking for June of 2024. I tell them they need to apply now. They tell me it's too early. I know it seems very far away, but if we take a look at 2024, currently we have 253 seats that are already booked. Now, that was a figure that I got before starting the presentation. We've got a couple bookings since then, so that number has already jumped to 255 for the year of 2024. And 45% of those rotations that have been booked are for spring and summer. So already hundreds of seats are gone. Now, these rotations are available on a first come, first served basis. What that means is that if you want a rotation, if you identify a seat that works for you, you need to submit that deposit as soon as possible. There are a lot of popular rotations that are available in locations that you may want to book. New York is always a popular location, Miami, Texas. And for a lot of those areas that we have, the seats for those popular months, June, July, August, have already been filled. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't more great rotations and more great seats for those months that are available now. But the point is, those seats do go fast. Since these seats are on that first come, first served basis, my recommendation is always to make sure that you are planning ahead. I never want to push anyone to book a rotation that they are maybe not certain about. I'm always going to work with you, as every advisor will, to identify that rotation to make sure it's going to meet those requirements that you have set forth. Once we do identify that rotation, however, I highly recommend securing that seat. Now, for the rotations, we're not going to require you to pay that full amount up front. Sometimes when I speak to students, they say, oh, I don't want to pay that full amount up front. I can't pay that just yet. And I definitely understand that. The thing is, we typically are only going to require a deposit of about $899. Once that deposit is received and that seat is secured, it's guaranteed yours. No one can take that from you. And we're not going to worry about that remaining balance until 45 days before the scheduled start date. So if you want to book a rotation for July, if you submit that deposit today, you're not going to worry about submitting that remaining balance until May. Another reason why I think a lot of people are sometimes maybe a little bit hesitant about booking a rotation for 2024 now is because of the long visa wait times. I've spoken with so many people where they say, I want to book, I want to come in 2024, but the visa wait times, they're over a year. The earliest date I can get is 2025. I'm going to wait and hope that those wait times go down. Unfortunately, typically those wait times just don't go down. They tend to continue to increase. However, even though those wait times can be long, and maybe those wait times have appointment dates that are for months that are past the month that you want to book. Maybe you want to come for March, but the earliest month for a visa appointment is June. The reason why we recommend you still booking June now is because AMO will be able to assist you with getting that visa appointment date expedited. Now, when it comes to expediting that visa appointment, this is the process that has been set forth by the U.S. Embassy. You need to get that appointment date scheduled, and from there, once you have a rotation booked, AMO will be able to provide you with visa documentation so that you are able to go to the embassy and ask them to get that date expedited and moved up so that you can attend for the month that you want to join. We've seen a lot of success with individuals successfully expediting their visa appointment dates. Some have been expedited to months that I didn't think we would get expedited to very early. We've had a lot of trainees, especially from India, where individuals have booked for March of next year. They got their dates expedited to November or December of this year. It's really going to depend on the local embassy. It will be dependent upon your personal situation, but with the amount of success that we have seen, there is no reason for you to not book that appointment as soon as possible. And so there's no reason for you to not book that rotation. The sooner you are able to secure that seat, the sooner we are going to be able to assist you with getting that visa appointment expedited. And so a question did just come in, and someone asks, the AMO system is new to me. I'm not ready yet as I'm now in a review system after a few years of absence in my institution. So AMO actually finds rotations, of course, at cost to us. So that is a really great question. For AMO, we have a multitude of rotations that are already available on our platform. If you are looking for any particular specialty that you want, whether it be internal medicine, whether it be, OB-GYN, whether it be family medicine, we're already going to have that directly on our platform. I am going to go ahead and go over this very quickly towards the end, but I want to go ahead and just take a time to share the site with everyone right now as well. All right, and so hopefully you can all see now the screen of me being logged in on that dashboard. If there is an issue, just send a message. But here you see the dashboard for AM opportunities. Here you're going to see the 300 plus rotations that we have available. If you are looking to join an internal medicine rotation, you'll be able to click on the medical specialties there at the top left. We can go ahead and scroll down to internal medicine. If you know that you are looking for, June of 2024, we can click that rotation that month there from the months. If you know that the state that you want is maybe the state of Illinois, you're able to click that from the state filter there, and this will give you down to the 10 options that we do currently have in Illinois. So hopefully that does answer that question. We will dive a little bit more into that platform as well as what you can expect and how you can search and filter through those rotations. And so another question came in. I am Canadian. I believe I do not need a visa. Is that correct? Have you had Canadian students before? So we have had a lot of Canadian students come through. Generally speaking, as a Canadian student, you are not going to need a visa. Typically, as long as you're able to gain entry to the country, that is going to be the biggest thing that is there. Now, for Canadian graduates, if you want to do hands-on rotations, unfortunately, that would not be an option because we have seen some visa refusals, some entry refusals at the border for graduates looking to do hands-on. Typically, graduates are expected to do observerships, but outside of that one exception, no, you would not need to obtain a visa. So if you've already got an account and maybe that was just something that was preventing you from booking your rotation, you should be all set to book that rotation. And definitely keep those questions coming in. I appreciate you all asking those. I know visa is always a big point of contention for a lot of individuals, but I think we have some students that are here. And another thing that does sometimes prevent individuals from booking rotations is going to be your school. School schedules are maybe not quite set in stone yet. Maybe the school, you don't know when your exams are going to be, so more or less the time that you want to do a rotation, but you don't want to book because you don't want to book a rotation that interferes with your courses or that interferes with your exams because you don't want to waste that time or that money. I definitely understand that concern. If your school does have that schedule released, I definitely recommend, letting us know. One thing that you will notice is that all of our rotations do tend to start on the first Monday of each month. Those are our standard start dates. However, we can work with you if you've got maybe some dates that are a little atypical. The month of January, for example, maybe you can't start on January 1st because you'll be there during exams, you'll be in the middle of traveling, you've got celebrations, but you can start January 8th. Great. Let us know. As long as you let us know that you've got some special dates, we're going to be able to work with you to make a request to the physician to get those dates approved so that you can join for that rotation. Now, if you're in a situation where maybe the rotation you want, you see there's only one seat left, you don't want to lose it, but you also don't want to book something that you can't attend, what can we do in that case? You're still able to book that rotation as we have something available called switch protection. Switch protection will allow us to, in the event of maybe an issue with your schedule that prevents you from joining for the original dates that have been set, it will allow you to postpone that rotation to a later date, one time at no additional cost. There are some terms for that. You do need to let us know in advance, but typically the times where if individuals do need to change those dates, they typically will know about a couple of months in advance. So it's a really great tool to allow you to secure those seats and get that first priority for a different month in the event that something does come up. So definitely don't let those school schedules, don't let not knowing those exact dates be something that stops you. Now, Ayana asks a great question, which is the next point that I want to talk about, are elective requirements for your school. Ayana asks, are any credits provided for an observership that may substitute or help a medical school? So for a lot of trainees that are looking for US rotations, you may be doing this for school credit. This will largely depend entirely upon your school. However, we are able to assist you with getting these rotations approved for school credit. Sometimes, and I know we have a lot of students that want to book for early next year, and they want to do these to complete electives for their school. Your school may tell you that, hey, you can do clinical electives. Those can count for credit abroad, but they need to meet these specific requirements. If your school has those requirements that are set forth, maybe they say it needs to be, at a teaching hospital, or the physician needs to be, affiliated academically. Those are some specific requirements that a lot of rotations that we have will be able to fulfill. But sometimes it may not be clear which rotation will actually fulfill those requirements for your school. If you've got elective requirements, if your school wants you to fulfill anything in specific, let us know. We will go ahead and take a look at that documentation to see if the rotations we have will be able to meet those requirements. Maybe your school needs a signature. Maybe your school needs more information. Great. In those cases, we're going to do something called an elective request. We are still going to need that payment up front. However, in this case, that payment will be fully refundable, as what we're going to do is we're going to hold that seat while we work with you to connect with your school to see if the physician will be able to not only, one, fill the documentation that's required, but two, if the school will go ahead and agree and accept that rotation for the school credit. It's going to depend on your school. Some schools may be more difficult to work with. Some schools are a lot easier, but we won't know until you let us know. And if it's a school that we have worked with in the past, typically that process is going to be very easy. Of course. Generally speaking, though, for those who maybe are concerned about your school approving of the electives, usually electives will be able to be approved. Typically, the biggest point of contention is, one, the school is very slow with responding. I've seen it happen a lot. And this is why you need to plan as early as possible. I've had students reach out a month before the deadline, saying that the school, needs them to book a rotation for November. Great. It will always be your responsibility to reach out to the school, but AMO will assist. There have been instances in which the university just does not respond to an email until maybe a day before that deadline. You do not want to be in that situation. We want you to have this rotation, yes, but we also want to make sure that this rotation is fulfilling the requirements that you have set forth. So if you know that you've got some anticipated electives coming up, even if you don't know the requirements, but you know that you're going to have these rotations and these dates, and you know that it's coming up soon, let us know. We can always check to see if we worked with your school before. Even if we have not, we can always reach out to your dean. The earlier that we can start this, the easier it will be not only for you, but also your peers. If you are looking for these electives, you've got classmates that are looking for these electives. And typically, if we are able to get a group together to form a cohort, it is a lot easier for us to work with the school to let them know, hey, you've got 5 students who are looking to complete these electives. Your students need to complete these. We've got the rotations. Let us work together to make sure that we can meet the requirements. We've done it before. We can do it again. But the sooner you reach out to us, the sooner we can get started with that. Because unfortunately, as we all know, sometimes universities do take a lot of time to really just respond to us and get these questions answered. Someone asks, have we worked with IUHS before? I believe we have. Anthony, if you can double check. In terms of students, I'm sure we've had trainees from your school before, but if you're asking about elective requirements specifically, Anthony can check on that, and I believe he is typing an answer for you now. So those are typically some of the biggest reasons why individuals don't necessarily book these rotations in advance. Hopefully I was able to answer a lot of core questions and, express to you why it is so important to start early. June of 2024 seems so far away, but I know for a fact we've got rotations that are completely booked for June and July. I've had an individual want March of 2024, and unfortunately, the next earliest seat wouldn't be until November. So we're not just saying that you need to plan early just to say it. It is important because these seats do go fast. Iman asks, for observerships and rotations, can online options be available for those living in different countries since traveling abroad can be difficult? Absolutely. So Iman, we have virtual rotations that are available as well. A lot of the planning ahead has been for in-person rotations, since those are the ones where we require typically the most paperwork, where you need to do a lot more legwork. You've got to get your accommodations. You've got to arrange your traveling. You've got to get your visa. But for these virtual rotations, there are a lot less documents for us to worry about. Now, with that, I still recommend booking early. You don't have to worry about visa wait times, but you may have to worry about school schedules. You may need to worry about elective requirements. You still have to worry about your favorite option maybe being booked by someone else, especially if it's a popular month and a popular rotation. But we will be able to assist you with those virtual rotations also. Someone asks, do we assist with finding accommodations? Yes, we do. Once you book your rotation, you're going to be assigned a personal AMO coach, and that coach will assist you with finding accommodations near your rotation. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the ways that AMO helps, and we will dive a little bit more in that. But one thing I want everyone to keep in mind and keep to heart is that we're going to be with you every step of the way. And someone asks, are there really virtual rotations in all the specialties? Absolutely. So we don't have necessarily every single specialty, but for a lot of the common ones, we do have virtual rotations that are available. And before I dive into more about AMO, I want to go ahead and reshare the website, and just so that I can go ahead and show you all a few of the different virtual rotations that we have available. All right, and hopefully we can all see my screen. If not, just let me know. For the virtual rotations, if you go ahead and go to our site and click on the rotation type and click virtual, you're going to see the different virtual rotations that are available. Now, if you go ahead and go to specialties, Let's go ahead and click on something such as family medicine. We see that there are some options. If we go ahead and scroll down, click on internal medicine, we see that there are some more options. If we go to something such as OB-GYN, we've got an option for that as well. Now, for these virtual rotations, they do count as US-based clinical experiences. So the letters of recommendation that you are able to earn from these will be equivalent to that which you would earn from an in-person experience. Typically, these rotations are going to be divided into two categories. You're going to have your patient-focused ones, which are going to be essentially the hands-on of a virtual rotation. Those are the ones where you're going to be able to interact remotely with physicians, with the patients. You're going to be able to, take those patient histories, perform those simple examinations. How do you do that virtually? This is a great way for you to learn. Virtual rotations are here to stay in the US. If you are looking to if you are looking to practice medicine here in the US, that is something that you will encounter. Now, for the virtual rotations, we also have the research focused ones as well. Now, the research focused rotations are going to be a little bit different. Those are going to be more education based, more self-study, more self-paced, with you collaborating with the groups that you're working with. But those experiences are just as valuable, and you will still be able to earn letters of recommendation from those as well. So hopefully that does answer that question. This is amazing. Absolutely. AMO was the one to pioneer these virtual rotations. Thankfully, that's something that is here to stay. One of our physicians, Dr. Samuel Lin, who we will be having another webinar with, I believe this Friday. He has a virtual plastic surgery rotation, as well as a virtual research rotation. So we do have these rotations that are available for those who maybe don't want to travel, or maybe traveling right now seems a little less feasible. But just kind of jumping back into the presentation, once you do reserve your seat, and once you do reserve your rotation, that seat is guaranteed. That is one thing I want everyone to keep in mind. If you book that rotation, you put that deposit down, you don't have to worry about anyone else taking that seat. That seat is guaranteed to the first accepted applicant that does submit that deposit. Now, if you've been accepted, that seat is still in danger because other people may have been accepted. But the second you reserve, you don't have to worry about that at all. Additionally, for these rotations, you're going to be assigned a personal AMO coach. Now, we mentioned accommodations a bit, but that AMO coach is going to be the one that will assist you one-on-one before, during, and even after the rotation. They're going to be able to help you with those documentations. They're going to be the ones to assist you with accommodations, with those plannings. Someone asks about the visa invitation letter. They are going to be the one who will provide you with that visa support letter for the B1, B2 visa as well. Additionally, each and every single rotation comes with the opportunity to earn a letter of recommendation. It is merit-based. It's not guaranteed it's merit-based. It does mean you have to earn it. However, I've not had an issue with anyone ever earning a letter of recommendation from a rotation they've attended. And I will let you know, you don't want someone to say that the letter of recommendation is guaranteed, because that ensures that you're going to receive a generic letter. You want to make sure that that letter is merit-based, so that you can know that when you earn that letter, it's going to be personalized, it's going to be unique, it's going to be geared toward you, and it's going to be able to give you something that you can take and know and feel confident in using when applying for the residency match process. Now, I mentioned we've got over 325 plus rotations that are available. As you can see, we've got a lot here in Chicago, where we are located, where I'm from. I live down the street for one of our options, Jackson Park Hospital. We've got a ton in Texas, a ton in Florida and New York. We've got a lot in California. We've recently added a couple to Colorado. But you see, we've got rotations all across the US. If there is a location that you're looking for a rotation with, and maybe we don't have, reach out to us. If we are working out a deal in that location, we will be able to assist you with maybe being the first one to book that rotation. And if not, we can definitely explore some of the other options that are available. But we are always adding new rotations each and every single month. So I've talked a lot about, AMO, how we can help. And I know a lot of that information can be confusing, but us AMO advisors are here to help. So you're here with me and Anthony today. We're having this presentation. Thank you so much for the questions. Definitely keep them coming. But we are always going to be available to assist you more one-on-one if you've got more questions about finding a rotation. It is always 100% free to speak to us. You don't have to worry about paying to book an appointment. We will work with you. We want you to find a program. We want to make sure that we understand your goals so that we can find rotations that align. And we want to make sure that you are able to reserve a rotation that we know you're going to be happy with. If you just don't know which rotation is best, there are a lot of options. We can assist you with that. If you maybe just want to make sure that we are meeting some of your educational goals, we can assist you with that. I know we've talked about a lot of common questions. Maybe you leave this meeting today feeling that your questions are answered, but more questions may come up. Don't ever feel like you are bothering us. Don't ever feel like you're bogging us down. We're available to help you through email, through text, through WhatsApp, whatever you are most comfortable with. Our goal is just to make sure that you feel confident so that once you do book, you'll be passed over to our amazing visitor experience team. And this is that one-on-one coach that I mentioned to you before. We're going to be the ones to work with you just to make sure that everything is all set once so that you can secure your seat. But these are the ones that are going to make sure that you are all set to complete your enrollment. If you've got, a dean's letter that you need, if you've got visa questions, you need that visa invitation letter. They're going to verify all those required documents. Maybe there's some paperwork you need to sign you've got a question about. They're going to assist you with that. For those accommodations, once you do book your rotation, you're going to have access to the accommodations that we have. We're partnered with a couple of homestay networks that typically are great options. But for some locations, Airbnb may be better. It may be better to do a hotel. They're going to be the ones to let you know what is best in that particular situation so that you can make that best decision for yourself. Once you book, they do also host a student orientation. So you don't have to worry about maybe not remembering all the information, or if you've got any concerns, they're going to be the ones to assist you through that process. And someone asks if we can show the slide for the email again. I'll go ahead and share it here. It is in the chat. Anthony, if you can just also share that again in the chat, advisors@amopportunities.org. If you email that, that's going to go directly to all of us. Myself or Anthony may be the one to see that and respond. Otherwise, one of the other lovely advisors we have here will be able to see that and respond to you as well. All right. And so now that we've gotten through that, and I've talked about the site, we've taken a look just a couple of times. I want to go ahead and just, let you know what those next steps should be. If you've joined this presentation, maybe you needed some more information. Maybe you wanted to create an account, but you weren't sure what to do next. No worries. Hopefully I've been able to answer all of those different questions. But the next step will be to visit the AM Opportunities site, app.amopportunities.org, and create your account. From there, once you go ahead and confirm your email and set your password, and you log back in, you're going to be required to fill out your profile. This will just be your preferred location, your preferred specialty, some information about you. For these rotations for the application process, generally speaking, as long as you have that profile completed, the only additional information we're going to need for you to start the application process is going to be your CV. Your application, your completed profile and your CV are the two documents that we will need. And the reason why we don't require more documentation is because we want the process to be as simple and easy as possible. Now, you're still going to need to upload documents. You're still going to need to do your immunizations, get any relevant school paperwork, your diploma. We're still going to need that, but you're not going to need that up front, because our goal is to make sure that we can find what works best for you, secure the seat, and then that way the coaches can help you with the nitty-gritty of the details and documents afterwards, so that the only thing you have to worry about is just making sure that everything is in order before doing your rotation. We don't want you to worry about whether or not you will be able to join for a rotation, because if you are a current medical student or a graduate, you will be eligible for that rotation. Now, a great question that just came in is, how will we be able to tell if a rotation is hospital-based or clinic-based? So what I'm going to do, hopefully you can all see my screen, is go ahead and show you some examples. Anushka, you do not need step 1 scores for most rotations. And before I talk about the rotation types, as long as you are a current medical student or a medical graduate or a nurse or a dentist, you are eligible for a rotation. That is a minimum requirement. No need for any other documents, no need. If you meet that requirement, we have rotations available for you. The only other documents that you would need will be things that you already have, and then getting your immunizations. So don't worry about step one. Don't worry about step two. The only thing that you can be concerned about is, are you a current medical student or graduate, which everyone who is here is. So you are all eligible for rotations. There are rotations that we can get you booked in. We do have some rotations that need additional documentation, but that documentation will always be listed, so it will never be a surprise to you. Now, someone asks, how can I tell if a rotation is hospital-based or clinic-based? A lot of people want hospital-based rotations. I definitely understand that. But here on this tag section in the search, when you click on tags, you'll be able to scroll down and filter through some special tags that we have to help you maybe narrow down your choices. If you scroll down, you will see that we do have hospital program available. If you click that, you will see all of the hospital-based programs that we have. You see we even have some virtual hospital-based programs. Now, you see there's 23 results, and a few of these are hospitals with multiple specialties that are available. In the US, the vast majority of healthcare is going to occur within the clinic. And so what you will find is that a lot of rotations won't necessarily be just hospital-based. What you're going to find that is going to be infinitely more common, and if you want hospital exposure, this is what I recommend, is in this tag right below hospital program, you're going to want to click on inpatient exposure. This will give you a list of all the rotations that have both a combination of either outpatient and inpatient exposure, so hospital and clinic, or just hospital-based. Now, someone asks, how can I tell though? If you maybe don't search by that, you get an email, you see a program recommendation. When you click on that program, right at the title, you're going to see the specialty and you're going to see this. If it's hospital only, it will just say inpatient. If it's clinic only, it will just say outpatient. If it's a combination, it will say inpatient, outpatient. So you never have to worry about trying to gamble and guess, is this at the hospital? Is there hospital exposure? Is it clinic-based? It will always be there, very clear for you to know. And from there, you'll be able to book. Now, just a couple other things I want to highlight scrolling down. You will see the total cost, you'll see the duration. Most rotations are going to be 4 weeks. Scrolling further down, you will be able to see the different academic affiliations that are notable that the physician has. But you will also be able to see some of the different hospital affiliations that the physician has. Now, these aren't necessarily the hospitals that you would be going to, depending on the rotation. In this case, I believe it is. But these are just going to be notable things because we want you to understand some of the important highlights of the CV of the physician. A lot of people want letterhead for their letters of recommendation. I'm going to tell you now, that is not as important as you would think. We've had many physicians that have talked about this. If you join the webinar with Dr. Samuel Lin, who is a residency director for Harvard Plastic Surgery Residency Program, if he says that that letterhead does not matter, I would definitely trust what comes from a residency preceptor. What is going to matter is, one, the quality of the letter. So making sure it's personal, making sure it's strong, making sure it's definitely written just for you, but then also the CV of the physician. And that is why we work to make sure that we recruit high quality physicians in hospitals that you work with, so that once that CV is written, once that LOR is written, that you can be confident with submitting that to the residency match. Scrolling further down, you'll see just some general expectations for a different program. You'll learn more about the exposure type. Now, the best suited for, typically, unless a rotation says it's only for graduates, this is just more of a guide to help those who maybe don't speak with anyone. Generally speaking, all medical students and grads will be eligible for all rotations, even if it says, for example, best suited for third or fourth years. If you're first year, you want a rotation, you will still be able to apply for that rotation. If a rotation has any sort of restrictions whatsoever, that will always be listed. Scrolling further down, it'll just let you know more general requirements, any additional information. You'll see a rough idea of a schedule, and this location is something I want to highlight here. People always ask, can we provide the address? Can we provide the name? Due to privacy agreements, we can't provide that information to you until you reserve. However, this Google Maps API, you can zoom in, you can scroll and get an approximate location. If you've been to, the area before, you can go ahead and maybe get an idea of where that is in case you wanted to learn a little bit more about the area. but that is how you'll be able to find that information out. Now, just a couple more things I want to share. You will be able to filter through the rotation type. For hands-on and observerships, both of those are going to be equal. Typically, when individuals mention electives, they are referring to hands-on. Those letters are weighted equally. The only difference is in the experience, in that for hands-on, you will have direct patient interaction. You can't do anything considered the practice of medicine, so no cutting anyone's leg off in surgery, but you are going to be able to take patient histories, perform simple examinations, and do things of that nature. If you want to search for that, you will be able to click there. And just looking through all the different options, if you're wondering, hey, I want to make sure that I'm looking for rotations that don't have anything. I don't got step one. I don't want to even look at a rotation where I may need to require that. You're going to go to this and the tags and click book now. All of these rotations, generally speaking, you're going to be able to book immediately. As long as you meet that minimum requirement of being a current medical student or graduate, we've got those rotations for you. Now, just one more thing before we wrap up. I just want to share with you, how you're able to go ahead and book a rotation. Once you click on a rotation, in this case, we see it's family medicine is outpatient. Scrolling down here, you'll be able to click on the type. In this case, this one only offers observership, so I'm going to click on that observership. And from there, I'm going to click on the date that I want next. In this case, I'm going to select June, and then I'm going to click apply now. And so I think for this one, this may be an issue with me being logged into my admin account, so I do apologize for that. So I will find a different program, but typically what will happen is you're going to go ahead and see that the application has went through. In the event that there is a rotation that you're ineligible for whatever reason, they will display a message like that. Generally speaking, though, you're going to find that for the different rotations that are available, you can only see the ones that you are able to apply for. And so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and click apply. And there we see that the application has been created. Now, for this particular one, we see that this program does require additional approval. And it's going to let us know what documents we need to upload. Generally speaking, we're only going to need your CV. For the dean or diploma, if you've got any issue with obtaining that right away, don't worry about that. Always email in, to advisor@amopportunities.org. We'll let you know what documents that we need. It'll be listed here. But if there is ever any issue, we will be able to let you know, and we'll reach out to collect that relevant information. From there, though, once that application is accepted, you'll be able to directly book those programs. You'll be able to see it on the payment page once it is ready, and you'll be able to go ahead and book that program. If a rotation is something which I mentioned, the book now rotation, from there you will be able to essentially secure your seat before anyone has a chance to review it. You'll be able to click start booking. This will just take your card details. It won't charge your card, but it'll put a hold on the seat so you don't have to worry about anyone else booking it before someone from AMO has a chance to review that application. Again, if there's ever anything that we need, we are going to reach out to you right away and let you know. But from there, once we've got those documents and once you've reserved, that is pretty much it. And the coach will assist you from there just to make sure that you have a good experience. All right. And so that does take us to the conclusion of the webinar. Thank you so much to everyone who did ask those questions. I just want to thank each and every one of you for continuing to ask. We will go ahead and conclude the recording from here, but we will go ahead and just have a little bit more time afterwards in case we have any additional questions for me. All right, I'm going to stop sharing as well as stop the recording now.